So in this one I will show how to quickly add systemd to our distro. Essentially I added everything to the GitHub, so this one is going to be very simple. There's going to be a new distro name called Simple Western Remote Distro Systemd adbd wlan0, and I'm not just going to add systemd, I'm actually going to also add automatic adb, and that I covered. And I covered how to run it automatically and how to customize it in another video. And this time it will be automatically started using systemd the way that OpenEmbedded intended it to, that is without the USB characteristic customization. And I'm also going to start wlan0 interface by automatically starting the templated WPA supplicant service. Now, I'm not using network manager, netplan, anything like this here. I'm just doing it, whatever I did like with the simple CSV init framework, I'm doing it here with systemd, and it will be very short. So as we already know, as I already shown, then there is conf distro, and the only thing I added to this is under addition to simple Western remote distro. So we added distro extra rdepends Android tools and Android tools adbd. On the adb video I explained why it's important, and a major change here is that init manager equals systemd. Now pay attention, the moment you do that, if it's like your first systemd related build, a lot of packages will be built, so it will take a while. I already done it, and the objective of the video is to be short. So let me just go to the recipes themselves. I'll show you what changed, and there are several things from my Yocto Project course that actually show in terms of some little exercises. So the idea was not to have systemd here. The idea was not to have systemd here. The idea was to show some enablement on the Qualcomm device, and then show some things that I started because of the Western VNC, and I'm just taking the advantage of some of the feedback that I received to give some extra, because it's simple, because it's short, because why not? Because I can. So if I go to Meta Western Remote, which is the layer that we add here, then there are two things here, and we can see like in the log that the Wi-Fi was added later, so let's do it by order. So I'll go to adb, that's recipes connectivity, and here essentially, recipes dev tools, Android tools, and here essentially what was modified is this. What was modified was this. So there are very additional interesting things about some Yocto subtleties that make very good exercise. And I did leave some of them like in the previous logs, but this is something that is relatively cleaned up. Okay, this is directly related to appending into a package that is not our package, because that's Android tools, not Android tools adbd. If we do that and want to specify files, for example, for the installations, it will complain. So I'm not addressing it now. I addressed it in some of the comments, but there are two things that are interesting and important, like in the changes that we had, if I remember correctly, from what I recorded. One, for the non-systemd part, we use a package post install on target step. Otherwise, we can do it like on install and then just add. We could inherit the recipe. We could inherit like a system update RCD, and then we could have this as we add like in the WPA supplicant or the wlan0 hacky whatever recipe. But here we do it differently, and so we do package post install on target. I have updated RCD, and I just want adb to be available always. This is the same start adbd sh from the previous video. So I don't care about a stop. We have like the run level, we have where to install it, we have dot, and that's it. We don't have the stop here, like we had with the Wi-Fi. Now going to systemd, I had like a nice if else like before. So this is an append, so we already have like the npack here and everything set set according to whatever it was set in the original recipe, which is like the Android tools. And we will, since this was in the previous video, we'll go to what happens if it's systemd. So systemd is actually supported in this example, so it is easy to add it, so we'll leave it like this. Okay, and a very important thing, look at this. Usually we'll do install, but I just want to illustrate that you can run any command if you want. So we make the directory instead of like installing with -d, and then we just touch USB debugging enabled. Why? Because if this file exists, then the original recipe already takes care of everything for systemd. So that's everything we added to add. That's it, nothing more. And it works and everything is great. We do add to the files here, add USB debugging enabled, and it's great, it looks good, and this is wonderful. So that's as far as adb is concerned for now. Okay, I will probably update the commit, but maybe I will not, it's not so important. Now for the Wi-Fi. So we need recipes connectivity, sorry. And here we'll go to our nice device here. We have several files. You will need to change your own WPA pass. I could modify it as well, but look what I added here. What I added here is a special file, wlan0 network, that is actually processed by the systemd networking services. It doesn't say way too much, but the other files are identical. It says match any interface called wlan star, which is fine. I only care about 0, but we can easily like modify it. And network use DHCP version 4. And here, this client identifier MAC will give the exact same behavior as UDHCPC. That is, if you send like the MAC as your identification, you will get the same IP. Otherwise, if you add like the previous image, like based on what I had in the previous videos without systemd, and you do not specify client identifier MAC, it's very likely your IP will change. Okay, and then you'll say, hey, my SSH doesn't work, ping doesn't work, and so on. But this is one file that was added, the only file that was added. And there are several ways to do things. I talk about systemd properly in my courses. But if we go to recipes connectivity and we look at our file here, then I did a trick. All these things were in the previous video, okay? Now the unpack no exec, the idea was it was done because I put the WPA, the WPA password file that I didn't want it to be copied again or unpacked again because I put my own credentials, and what I put in Git was some dummy network that is not my network. But to make it properly, you actually do want to do unpack. Otherwise, if you make updates or add new files, like the file that I'm going to add here, wlan0.network that I just showed, it will not be copied because it's not unpacked. This is what it does. So this is the things about it. I gave like a lot of comments, especially because I did here something different. I used here a trick that is not very common. So usually if you do well Yocto, you know there are a lot of like overrides. But you cannot add an override of systemd, for example, like a distro feature to srcri or to do install. You need to specify the override yourself. So this is what I did here. Like I added to the overrides variable systemd, okay? And I have here do install systemd. Because it's an override, it means that this do install will not be called. So like this if else, it will be called only if systemd is not in our distro features. So if it's not, this will never be called. Okay, the else clause will not be, it's not the init manager. Excellent. So not in distro features, in our init manager, set as the init manager. So here it goes. So we add this src URI. Actually, what I wanted to do is actually do an override here as well. And we do install. It doesn't hurt if it's not here. It won't be installed. I will modify it if I do like another commit. So we do install, which is overridden here, and here we just write these kind of things. pn without the brackets will not show, with the brackets it will show. We install and create the directories for the file if need be. Okay, systemd network wlan0. So the rest are just from this one. This conf is a modification of what we had before. I also changed the permissions, okay, to be like more secure. So what we have here, instead of using etc WPA pass, this is actually important. We call it, we put it under WPA supplicant -wlan0.conf, and there is a good reason for that. The reason is that there is a templated service that we're going to install. How we'll install it? As follows. We, just in case we create multi-user target once, we don't really need it, and we link this templated service WPA supplicant.service into multi-user target once of systemd, and then we say WPA supplicant, instead of just the @ sign, we put wlan0 service, and we will connect to a target. I think I have one that is active, so let's look at it. This is our nice ADB shell. If we go to libs systemd system and we look at WPA supplicant, then look what it has here. This is a templated service. WPA supplicant daemon for interface, whatever, which means that if we have several such interfaces, then it will work. These are the requirements. It comes after this, it comes after that, which is also why the network file would be concerned. Otherwise, we would not have automatic DHCP. This is why we put like the network file. And here we have exec start with a configuration file that has -%i.conf, which, surprise, surprise, is exactly what we have here. So wlan and the configurations file is this fellow here, okay, wlan0.conf. So this is for the configuration file, and maybe I mixed it when I talked, but obviously I know what's going on. Like, this is for the configuration file, and the second thing is when we have a templated services, we need to start it. So we can just do system control start wlan0.service, or enable wlan service, which actually does the symlink, but we do it in build time. So we create a symlink under multi-user target once. It's done, and then the system is going to be enabled when we run it. And then this, with the network file, will cause systemd to automatically make our device work. So that's how these things work. If we look what is active, we can see that this is like the service, the exact name for interface wlan0 as we had. And since it comes like from a dependency, just so you know, if you like don't add like the files, then you can do something like a system control list unit files, and then grab WPA, and it tells you the status. So if it's disabled, it's not going to automatically run. If it's enabled or like indirect in this file, then if you do things properly, then it will run, which is quite good. It's amazing, and this covers the automatic resetting of both wireless LAN and ADB. I hope sound was good here, and I hope that you found this video useful.